We knew that ever since the revelations about the identity of the shooter came out, that there's gonna be one of two strategies that most Republicans are gonna choose. Most of them just do not talk about it. The fact that he's a Republican, that he's apparently very conservative, they just avoid it entirely. And I understand why they would do that. For some, that's not enough. They have to fight back against reality. Facts are inconvenient and they must be battled at all times. And so with that, we're gonna turn to Matt Walsh, who said this. Here's the official story so far. A random 20-year-old acting completely alone walked through within 150 yards of a presidential campaign rally with a rifle, climbed on a rooftop in full view of Secret Service snipers, set up his shot and fired without anyone intervening and with no help from anyone. This 20-year-old also is so politically radical as to attempted assassination and yet not radical enough to have ever posted any political writings or commentary on any social media site ever in his life. He also wrote no manifesto and left behind no indication about why he did it. His last and only political act before attempting to kill the Republican candidate was to register as a Republican. You must believe this and ask no questions about it or else you are a conspiracy theorist. And one thing we know about assassination attempts is that there's never any conspiring involved. So let's keep very real why he is saying this. He does not like that it turned out that this guy is a registered Republican and apparently is very conservative and in fact was a fan of the MAGA movement, as we're gonna get to. These facts are inconvenient, and rather than opening up his mind to considering what this could potentially mean. And bear in mind, we don't know what his motive was, but you could try to understand why some conservative might do this. You could try to perhaps grapple for once with the fact that we live in a chaotic world where not everything works out the exact way that you would want, that politics doesn't always line up with your wildest fantasies. But that's difficult. It makes the brain hurt. Way easier to just deny all of it and to fill your screed on Twitter with a bunch of complete lies.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
He did all of this without anyone intervening. We already knew days before he posted this, people intervened, people on the ground intervened, a cop intervened, and the guy was shot. He rushed his shot because of how quickly he got up there and was immediately seen, and immediately people intervened. And so he ran out there and tried to kill the president and thankfully failed and shot wildly. And rather than this being an utterly unacceptable act of political violence that thank God did not take out the president, but did tragically take the life of one of the rally attendees, no, it's gotta be something else. You fill in the blanks. He doesn't want to get sued or anything. He doesn't want to get investigated by the FBI. So he's not going to say what he thinks it is, but obviously the idea is that somebody had planned it. And to be clear, if they did, what they planned is we're going to do the absolutely unprecedented move of trying to kill our political opponent. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to get a 20-year-old who barely knows how to shoot a gun, and we're going to give him 15 seconds to fire from 150 yards away at the president. Oh, what do you know? He missed. That's the plan. That's what the eternal, unstoppable, immortal deep state came up with. I think they could have done better. Thankfully, they didn't. But anyway, absolute madness. And you have a lot of people buying into this. And by the way, the internet is filled with conspiracy theories about what happened this weekend, coming from all different angles. And we've tried to fight against them, including ones that are being spread by Democrats. But there's a reason that these spread in the wake of these incidents. Again, for a certain sort of simple mind, reality is complex. It does not always do what you want, and it is easier to assume that there is someone pulling the strings. Even if the strings they're pulling result in evil, it's easier to believe that someone's manipulating things because then someone's in charge at least. Okay, it's not that there's chaos, it's not that there's coincidence, it's not that there's something that might pass as a miracle. For instance, the fact that the bullet so narrowly passed Trump's head and didn't hit him. Okay, better to assume that someone's in charge. And he goes on, and obviously Candace Owens gets involved in it, and Cernovich gets involved because that's who they are. That's the place they have in this political movement. And I think it's incredibly unfortunate that there are people who have been bought in by this. Now that said, we don't have a lot of time. I just want to briefly mention that in addition to the wild conspiracy theories about the Secret Service, you have a much milder version of it coming in the form of people like Representative Lauren Boebert, who are now saying that because the Secret Service failed to secure that rooftop, which was not under their direct purview, it was local law enforcement, we're just gonna cut her salary. It's what they now do anytime they don't like something in the news. They cut the salary of the person in charge of it. I am gonna make a prediction, since it's looking like we're likely to have a Republican administration next. When something bad in the news happens, I have a feeling they probably will not be cutting the salary of Trump cabinet officials, the head of Homeland Security, and those sorts of things. I feel pretty confident in that prediction. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?